and for my leisure presentation I decided to talk about fishing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about freshwater fishing because that's what we have available in Minnesota. So today I'm here at Spring Lake Park and I'm going to teach you a few things. First of all, fishing started way back in the hunter-gatherer days, and they started fishing with just a stick and a string. It was a means of survival, and it evolved into being a recreational activity. The very first people to introduce a reel was the English people, and they created it out of really hard wood, and they used horsehair. And then since then it's evolved into other metal products and more flexible string. So there's lots of different kinds of fishing. We have bass fishing, walleye fishing, also fly fishing, and deep sea fishing. My favorite kind of fishing is walleye fishing. I actually have my walleye rod right here with me, right here. The kind of reel that it's on is a spinning reel. I can demonstrate how to cast in a little bit. There's different kinds of bait you can use while fishing. Traditionally with walleye fishing you use a live bait, whether it's a night crawler worm or a minnow. There's also different kinds of artificial baits. You can use worms that are made out of plastic and they make them so they're scented for the fish to smell underwater. I also have a couple different kinds of lures that you can be used while you're bass fishing or fishing for northern. And that's where you would cast out the lure and reel it in. So, this right here would be a shad wrap lure. It has 6 hooks on it, so the fish usually clamp on, and while it's traveling through the water it does this, and they can hear that to simulate a real small bait fish. They're very effective. These are some of my other favorite lures, I guess you could say, to use. This simulates a frog skipping over the water. This would be for bass fishing, and the bass will actually jump out of the water and grab it while you're reeling in. It has 2 hooks on the bottom right here, and what's nice about these is that they are weedless, so when it's skipping over the weeds or the lily pads it doesn't collect weeds. I became involved in fishing ever since I was young. My dad and my older brothers, as well as my mom, we all like to fish. We've been really fortunate to travel to places that have really good fishing. For example, my favorite place to travel to is Canada. The walleye fishing is really good up there. I've also been able to go to Tennessee and go fishing, so it's always been a real favorite thing of mine to do in the summer. I believe that fishing is leisure, especially for me, because it's something that I like to spend time doing. It lets my mind unwind, and I can spend time with my family and friends while doing it as well. Although it may not be leisure for some people because they might get frustrated with their line getting tangled, or they might get impatient if they don't catch any fish. Next I can demonstrate how to cast. So the 2 poles I brought was a walleye pole and a slip bobber pole. The slip bobber pole is usually used for smaller fish like crappies or sunfish. What's nice about a slip bobber pole is that you put these sinkers on right here, so when you're casting you don't have all this extra line behind you, and then when the bobber hits the water it'll float up to the desired depth that you want it to be at. So I'm not going to use any live bait today, I'm just going to demonstrate with the hook, and I'll just cast shortly. So what you do is you hold the rod like this. What I like to do is separate my fingers like this. You hold the reel like this. You open the barrel while keeping your finger on the line so it doesn't go out right away. When you have the barrel open, you flick your wrist while letting go of the string, and then when your line is where you want it to be in the water, you close your barrel like this. And then close the barrel. With the slip bobber, all you have to do is wait for your fish to come to your bait, and once the fish comes, the bobber will go underwater. rubber goes under so that the hook really gets in the fish mouth and so it doesn't swallow it, because that's a mess when the hook goes down the fish's mouth. So I'll reel in, but that's how you cast a spinning rod. This right here is my walleye pole. This is really great for fishing for walleye because it has the hook where you would put your live bait. I like to use minnows. I feel like that's the most effective bait for me. And it also has a Lindy rig weight up here on the top. The most effective way to walleye fish is you cast into the water and you want your bait to be sitting on the bottom, because walleye live at the bottom of the lakes in the coolest water. And then you kind of try to bounce it off the bottom as if it's real looking. Next, I'll talk about different kinds of tackle. I do have my tackle box with me today. Depending on how much you like to fish and how much money you want to invest in fishing, there's lots of different kinds of tackle you can have. I showed two of my favorite kinds. Sometimes my older brother, for instance, likes to fish for muskie, which are very big fish. They can get up to 55, 60 inches. And he uses lures that are about this big, and they simulate a bigger bait fish going through the water. There's also spoon lures that we like to call. This is a smaller spoon lure, but they're pretty simple. You attach this to the end of your line. They originally were made out of real spoons, the bottom of spoons, and they've evolved since then into different colors and shapes. But this would probably catch a smaller northern if you casted this out into the water. Can you pause it? So like I mentioned before, there's lots of different kinds of fishing. I focused on freshwater because we live in Minnesota with lots of lakes, and those are most the kinds of fish we're going to catch. If you go way up to Alaska, the most popular fish to catch up there is probably salmon. Halibut? Okay, halibut. In other parts of the country, more down south, catfish is really, really popular. Catfishing, you usually put your rod in the sand if you're on the beach of a river and let the catfish come to you. There's also deep sea fishing, which we don't have up here, but it's fun if you ever go on vacation to Florida or Mexico or Texas. A guide will take you out on a big fishing boat and you can fish for marlin, mahi-mahi. There's tons, sailfish and tuna, and those fish get to be very, very large. Sometimes when you're fishing deep sea, they actually have you strapped into a chair and they have the pole strapped into your hand because the fish get so heavy. It's more of a safety precaution than anything.